protection outside of this former senior living center here. They are seriously concerned that people may storm inside that building and try and force the migrants out.
Another busy day. Thank you for being with us for NewsNation Live. I'm Marni Hughes in Chicago, and joining me here in studio to pick up coverage, Nick Smith. Hi there, Nick.
Hey, Marni. You know, we have a busy show ahead of us this morning, so let's jump right into it. The NewsNation Now starts right now. I'm Nick Smith. Today on NewsNation Now, the end of an era. Rupert Murdoch stepping down as the brains behind Fox News, the New York Post, and Wall Street Journal. So what's the next chapter in this media dynasty? We'll hear from insiders. And fallout over an expensive missing jet found destroyed in a South Carolina field. New details on why the pilot ejected from the aircraft and why some say the jet should not have been in the air in the first place.
There's two things Alex will tell you. One, he stole the money. Two, he did not kill Maggie and Paul.
And convicted murderer Alec Murdaugh back in court, now pleading guilty to nearly 24 financial crimes. So what happens now? All that and more ahead on NewsNation Now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Smith. We're beginning with breaking news. A huge change is coming to Fox News as Rupert Murdoch announces he's stepping down and that his son Lachlan will be taking over. In a note to employees he sent out today, he wrote, "Dear colleagues, I'm writing to let you know that I have decided to transition to the role of chairman emeritus at Fox, and my entire professional life, I've been engaged daily with news and ideas, and that will not change. But the time is right for me to take on a different role, knowing that we have truly talented teams and a passionate, principled leader in Lachlan who will become sole chairman of both companies." Joining us now is NewsNation Media contributor Colby Hall. Colby, thank you so much for being here. This is clearly the end of an era, and reaction has been swift. Fox's stocks are climbing following the news of Murdoch stepping down. What does his decision mean culturally?
Culturally, it's not clear yet. I think what you'll see is typically when there's a big move like this, companies sort of try to go back to their roots. So I think you'll see extra Fox News to show viewers and their corporate overlords that they are no different. What does that mean? Well, it's hard to say. I think this is, Rupert Murdoch is the leader, has long been the leader, even if he was just the chair. My reporting tells me that everyone at Fox News knew that it was really what Rupert wanted. And if he was upset by anything that was on the air, you would know. So without that specter looming over them, I think what you'll see is talent, sort of conservative right of center opinion voices be louder and perhaps more dramatic. What that means for ratings remains to be seen. But, I got to tell you, this feels like the beginning of an end of not just an era, but Fox News dominance as we've long known it.
No, Colby, you do expect him to still have a hand in day-to-day operations or no? And what do we know about Lachlan, Rupert's son, that'll be taking over? I mean, we haven't really read much about him, have we?
Well, Lachlan sort of was he lived in L.A. and Hollywood, but was under so much controversy that for being so involved with News Corp and Fox News that he moved back to Australia. So he's going to be managing this network and company that's massive, that throws up billions of dollars of revenue every year and is arguably one of the most powerful political voices on the landscape. He's going to be doing it remotely unless he plans to move back. That news hasn't yet broke. So I don't know exactly what he will do. I think Rupert was a real visionary. Roger Ailes, who passed away in 2017, was also a visionary. What they've left in place are mostly custodial people that have taken custody. And the media landscape is changing. So it'll be really, I think they need to figure out what their vision is and how they're going to move forward, because what they've been doing is feeling more and more like old-fashioned and outdated.
And Colby, you said visionary. I immediately thought about Steve Jobs and Tim Cook. Whereas things have gone well under Tim Cook's reign at Apple, it was Steve Jobs that many often saw as a visionary. And you agree that Murdoch was indeed seen that way. In fact, we started this segment by a part of a statement that he released today saying, quote, in my new role, I can guarantee you that I will be involved every day in the contest of ideas. I will be watching our broadcasts with a critical eye, reading our newspapers and websites and books with much interest, and reaching out to you with thoughts, ideas, and advice. Do you think Murdoch will be able to fully take his hands off the steering wheel and hand over the keys to his son?
You know, I can't get in the mind of him. It's tough for his son to know that his dad is in the back seat of a car that he's trying to drive and probably judging every move that he makes. Another thing that he said in his memo, and I'll read it real quickly, is this quote: "Elites have open contempt for those who are not members of the rarefied class. Most of the media is in cahoots with those elites, peddling political narratives rather than pursuing the truth." End quote. So that sort of really shows the DNA of what Fox News was, giving voice to the voiceless when he launched it in the late 90s. But I have to tell you, it's exactly what Fox News was caught doing with the Dominion defamation suit. And it's hard to find anyone more elite and more in line with political narratives than Rupert Murdoch. So that almost felt, the fact that he would say that without a trace of irony is rather stunning to me. And it honestly gives rise to news outlets and viewers who just want the truth.
Colby, you and I both know we will be watching this closely. Colby Hall, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has just wrapped up visit to the Pentagon, meeting with Secretary of Defense and other top military leaders. Zelensky's trip to Washington will be a quick one. He met with congressional leaders this morning, and in just a few hours will make his second trip to the White House for discussions with President Biden. News Nation's Joe Khalil is live on Capitol Hill, and Joe, Zelensky's return to D.C., his first since December, comes at another pivotal time in the war with Russia.
Yeah, it does, Nick. And look, it's really almost impossible to understate how important this trip is for Volodymyr Zelensky. You talked about this is a pivotal point in the war. There is a counteroffensive Ukraine is launching right now that is going much slower than anticipated. They need weapons, they need funding, and he is here again in the American Congress pleading for more help, for more aid, more weapons, and the rest. Now, last time Zelensky made this trip here to the Capitol, he was welcomed as a hero. Not that he isn't this time, but the audience is certainly a little different this time around. A lot more hesitation and skepticism from some in Congress to continue to provide billions of dollars for Ukraine, particularly those in the House Republican Conference. Now, you see President Zelensky there on your screen. He was meeting with members of the House, a bipartisan group. It was a smaller group. He's walking there with the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries. Later in the afternoon, he met with the full United States Senate, and he addressed all of them there. A lot more support in the Senate for Zelensky and for Ukraine than there is among House Republicans. And let's put up on your screen, just so everyone can be reminded what the ask is at this point. You've got $13 billion in security, $8.5 billion in economic aids. That's a total of about $24 billion, most of that going directly to the war effort in Ukraine. But what I can tell you is what I've been hearing from Republican members of Congress who we've spoken with is they want to see detailed plans from the White House about how some of this money is going to be spent, more of a strategy from the White House. And they also want to see President Biden push our European allies to contribute more of their funds to this war effort as well. We talked to a number of Republicans today, one of them being Buddy Carter, Republican from Georgia. Here's what he told us about this.
We feel like the Biden administration is making a half effort at this in the way of sending equipment and weapons over there. We need them more lethal weapons so that we can end this war. I'm always fine as long as I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm just not seeing a plan.
So I want to be clear, Nick, most of Congress supports more aid to Ukraine, and certainly many Republicans do. But that hesitation you just heard, I'm hearing that a lot. And another thing that they've added is that the timing here really couldn't be worse. In the House, specifically, there is a big debate about potentially shutting the government down over spending levels and whether we are running too much of a deficit. So you add that to the conversation about should we spending billions more to Ukraine, that's certainly going to complicate things here.
And, Joe, Representative Carter is not alone in his criticism. We've heard others say that the Biden administration has been slow to give Ukraine what they need. But, Joe, what are Democrats saying in response to Republicans opposed to more funding for Ukraine?
Yeah, so about half Republicans, maybe more, and Democrats are on the same page here when they say that, look, this is absolutely essential funding for Ukraine. They say this isn't something that we should be considering as an isolationist nation, something that's happening overseas that we shouldn't worry about. They're talking about this being an existential threat to democracies, not just in Ukraine, but beyond that in Europe, from some of our European allies. And they say that strategically, we benefit if one of our strongest adversaries in Russia is being fought and actually losing to Ukraine when the United States is not putting any boots on the ground at all. It's simply we're providing Ukraine with the money, the funding, and the weapons to do the fighting, and they are doing it. So Democrats have been arguing that this is strategically in our benefit and that maybe the White House does need to be making that argument in a more forceful way to the public. Strategically in our benefit. Joe Khalil live for us this afternoon. Joe, thank you. Joining me now to discuss today's meetings more is Ian Hurd, the director of the Weinberg College Center for International and Area Studies at Northwestern University. Ian, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Ian, we just heard Joe talk about how some see it as an existential threat and how it's in our benefit to fund Ukraine. This is one of Zelensky's rare trips away from Ukraine since Russia invaded his country more than 18 months ago. And the second trip to Washington, a government shutdown is also looming. Can he be successful in rallying support at this time?
Yes, he can. Zelensky is very effective at making the case that Russian military aggression is putting millions of regular people at risk and is a big danger to his country and to its neighbors. So he makes a very strong case. He's very good at showing how the costs of Russian aggression are being paid by the Ukrainian people, and that there's only one way to resist that, as far as he knows.
Dr. Hurd, why isn't that message translating or being felt with the American people who may be having some resistance? And National Security Council spokesman John Kirby called the Ukrainian president our best messenger in persuading lawmakers and to keep vital U.S. money and weapons coming. What do you think will ultimately be the outcome from today?
Well, I think the message is resonating strongly. There are strong majorities in both houses in the U.S. For continuing this support. There's strong majorities in both parties. Really, there's just a small radical wing of the Republican Party that's looking to interfere with that bipartisan agreement. And there really aren't very many of those people, but they do get a lot of attention since they're rather loud.
One of the arguments has been made that it's best to fund Ukraine in this war because if they can help us defeat an enemy, it is to the U.S.'s benefit. Now, the U.S. has been one of the biggest backers of the Ukrainian effort, approaching $113 billion, with President Biden asking Congress for another $24 billion. But Republicans are now opposing continued assistance. Can the U.S. keep giving out this money and writing these blank checks?
It certainly can. The amount that the U.S. is sending to Ukraine is really just a small piece of the military budget in the U.S., which is something like $1 trillion a year. So the U.S. can certainly afford to do it. The real challenge is the fact that it's Russia's aggression in Ukraine that sort of sets the tempo and the scale of the problem. So there's not much hope for relief until the Russian government decides that it's not interested in investing so much in making lives miserable for people in Ukraine. And we don't have any control over that. That's up to Putin and his political supporters.
18 months in, and it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. Dr. Hurd, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The United Auto Workers threatening to expand its strike against Detroit's Big Three unless it sees major progress in contract negotiations by tomorrow. The strike, now in its 7th day, is also emerging as the latest battleground in the race for the White House. NewsNation's Robert Sherman joins us live. And Robert, former President Trump is clearly making a play for union voters, many of whom have traditionally voted for Democrats.
Yeah, things are about to get very interesting here, Nick, with the former president saying he intends to be in Michigan next week for this issue here. Potentially a watershed moment in this race as the crosshairs of the political universe really focus on this strike. The former president has tiptoed around this issue so far for the most part, keeping a lot of his points a bit close to the vest. But he did say this at his rally in Iowa last night. Take a listen.
I will cancel Joe Biden's preposterous electric vehicle mandate. There will be no forced transition to all electric cars.
Now, that is significant because electric vehicles are a big concern UAW workers have as they hope to put themselves in a position to preserve their jobs. So it's interesting to note here, Nick, that when you dive into the politics of all this, a new poll from Emerson College finds a plurality of Americans do support the UAW workers as opposed to the companies. For Democrats, a majority of them seem to be in support of the workers. Independents lean that way as well. Republicans, pretty split in terms of their support, about half saying that they support the workers, half saying they support the auto manufacturing companies. So how does this all play into 2024? Well, you take a look at the state of Michigan. That is a state that could very easily tip the scale in the Electoral College and determines who goes to the White House. Look at that, neck and neck in a hypothetical matchup between President Biden and former President Trump. That's the Real Clear Politics average of polls. Every one of those individual polls has the race within the margin of error. So it's important to note here, Nick, is that the UAW leadership, they have not endorsed President Biden yet, but they've also been critical of former President Trump, saying the billionaire class is the antithesis of what they're standing for here. Nevertheless, the former president says he will be in Michigan next week. President Biden, no plans to be on the ground in Michigan yet, but some Democrats in Michigan strongly urging him to reconsider that choice in order to not get beaten to the punch here.
Yeah,
Nick.
and in the meantime, we've seen him send several surrogates, both Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden, clearly understanding the value in being in Michigan. Robert, one more question for you. The former president is opting to skip the second presidential debate and appear in Michigan. He skipped the first one as well. Have these choices had an impact on his campaign so far that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a mixed bag when we've taken a look at all the polling data that's out there. Some have shown marginal increases for the former president. Some have shown marginal decreases for the former president. What is clear is that making that choice to skip the first debate has not put a serious dent into his campaign so far. And talking with members of his campaign staff yesterday, they said their plan for the foreseeable future is to continue this trend of skipping the debates and focusing on a lot of this counter-programming that you're seeing, Michigan being just the latest example.
And that counter-programming seems to be working. Robert Sherman live for us this afternoon. Robert, thank you. State and federal officials are pushing for answers after a military fighter jet crashed in South Carolina some 60 miles from where the pilot ejected. The F-35B Lightning jet took off from Joint Base Charleston Sunday, and the pilot ejected a short time after that. But the plane debris was not found until the next day near Indiantown, South Carolina. NewsNation's Kelly Meyer is live at the Pentagon, where hopefully today, Kelly, we will get more answers, where military officials have so far not released many details about what actually happened.
That's right, Nick. We're hoping to get some answers here in just a few minutes from now when we hear from the Pentagon about what might have happened here and what they're calling a mishap. There are several questions, as you said, with this fallout from the F-35. There's questions around why did the plane possibly take off if there was bad weather. There are questions as to why the pilot may have ejected himself from the plane, and then why did the plane travel for 60 or so more miles before coming crashing down. And now, as you said, it all happened on Sunday when the F-35B Lightning stealth fighter jet took off from South Carolina. What the military is dubbing, quote, a mishap. This left the $100 million jet missing for 24 hours, the military losing track of that plane. And the incident really drew global attention when the military asked for help finding the jet. Debris was later found in rural South Carolina. Our Blake Berman, host of The Hill on NewsNation, asked South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace if she had gotten any response from the Pentagon. Take a listen.
The Pentagon has provided zero information, which is really, it's important to local leaders and our state leaders to have some information when there is a crisis going on, to at least let the public know whether or not this is a public emergency. At the very minimum, the Pentagon could have done that, and they did not.
Now, I also asked the former Pentagon press secretary and now over at the National Security Council, John Kirby, about this in the broader sense of this being a national security concern with the vulnerabilities of the F-35 or with this coming crashing down and not knowing where it was for 24 hours. He said he was going to leave this to the Pentagon to answer, but that the Marines did the right thing in this situation. And when they ordered that two-day stand down for the aviation aircraft as well over the last several days here, too. There, Nick.
Kelly, it is clear that Representative Mace was frustrated, and I believe that others are as well. Kelly Meyer, thank you so much. Here's a look at some of the top stories that we're following today. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is vowing to persuade his colleagues to pass a temporary funding bill to prevent a federal government shutdown. The Republican speaker met behind closed doors yesterday with his GOP colleagues for another day of negotiations. Experts say even if Mr. McCarthy is able to unite his House Republican majority, the bill is expected to be rejected by the Senate. And the Biden administration is restarting a program that offers 4 free COVID-19 tests per household. You can place orders starting on Monday, and the tests will be delivered by mail at no cost to you, the taxpayer. The White House is also providing $600 million to produce new at-home COVID-19 tests. They're trying to get ahead of a potential shortage should there be an increase in COVID cases this winter. As the United Auto Workers continue their historic strike, we're learning of layoffs at both General Motors and Stellantis. The manufacturers are blaming those layoffs on the impact being felt from the UAW United strike. Now, Stellantis did, however, give the union a new contract proposal, but a company spokesperson said the offer primarily covered non-economic issues. Plus, officials have declared a state of emergency for a small town in Texas with more than 4,000 migrants surging over the border in just 2 days. So who's sending help? We'll tell you more when we come back.
We'd like to stay on the story and hopefully bring some resolution. There's a lot we have yet to uncover.
Good morning with Vocalax. Good morning. Hey. Yeah. Try Vocalax Chewy Fruit Bites for fast and gentle constipation relief in as little as 30 minutes, making your good morning even better with Vocalax.
We need some help.
I know. I'm going to CashNetUSA.com. And if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
Go to CashNetUSA.com to apply for the money you need. My late father-in-law lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had AMD. I didn't know it then, but it can progress to GA, an advanced form of the disease. His struggle with vision loss from AMD made me want to help you see warning signs of GA, like straight lines that seem wavy, blurry or missing visual spots that make it hard to see faces, like this one, or trouble with low light that makes driving at night a real challenge. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. GA is irreversible. It's important to catch it early. Talk to your eye doctor about GA and learn more at GAWon'tWait.com.
Being in debt was just such a challenge as a working single mom.
I was working 3 jobs just to make ends meet.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to get out of debt by myself.
National Debt Relief negotiated with my creditors and reduced my debt by half.
National Debt Relief can significantly reduce the amount you owe.
National Debt Relief got me out of debt.
I feel like I'm in control again. I feel like I'm taking my life back now.
Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
And it's all because of generous people like you who support Shriners Hospitals for Children every month.
All you have to do is call the number on your screen or go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, dance around. If you're happy and you know it, play a song.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Will today be the day you send your love to the rescue?
When you call the number on your screen right now and give as little as $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll be making a life-changing difference for a child, just like Sarah.
Your monthly gift today could change your life forever. Because of you.
We are happy and we know it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call or go online right now to give. If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away.
A truck is a tool, but a Ram is life. It's the let's load up the ATV's life. The my kids play way too many sports life. The let's find a secret spot to fish life. Nice. Discover how Ram powers all the lives you live during Ram Power Days.
During Ram Power Days, get 4,000 retail consumer cash allowance on most 2023 Ram 1500 trucks. See your Ram dealer today.
Welcome back. Protesters in Staten Island rallied outside of a shelter housing migrants. This comes after demonstrators tried to block a bus from coming in earlier this week. In the last 2 years, New York City leaders have begged the federal government for assistance in dealing with the growing migrant crisis, but New Yorkers have been left to pick up the tab. Now they want answers as to where that money is going.
The mayor has said that the migrant crisis will cost the taxpayers $12 billion, but they refuse to give us details as to each location, what the city is paying, where the money is going, which organizations they're involved in. Where is this money going?
The Biden administration says it will grant temporary status to nearly 500,000 Venezuelan migrants, with the hope this will provide some sort of relief to sanctuary cities across the country, including New York. In the last 24 hours, more than 4,000 migrants have crossed the border into Eagle Pass, Texas. Here's a live look at where most of the migrants are being held. Temporarily, they are under a bridge. 800 active duty military personnel have been deployed to the border to help process the massive influx of asylum seekers. NewsNation's Allie Bradley has been following the story from the beginning and has more from that location. Allie, what are local and state officials saying about this migrant surge and how difficult it is to deal with?
Yeah, hey, Nick. So right now they have declared a local emergency in Eagle Pass. The mayor there making that declaration, and local law enforcement down there saying they don't have enough resources right now. So they are really leaning on state resources like Texas DPS and federal resources like Border Patrol. But again, they say it's just not enough to deal with what they're seeing. We're watching hundreds of people stream over. Now, what's happening right now is a lot of them are trying to cross the river and it's too deep. So they're turning around and they're going down the river a little bit further to find areas to cross. But that concertina wire is lining that river there, and it's actually preventing some of these people from entering into Texas. But sources tell me that right now they are actually apprehending individuals, Texas DPS is, based on them committing trespassing charges there. So Texas DPS is actually picking up some of those individuals as we speak right now. And you mentioned over 4,000 people streaming into Eagle Pass over the last few days. That soft-sided facility, there are more than 2,500 people in that facility right now. It's absolutely maxed out. So CBP is doing its best to process these individuals and transport them as quickly as possible, as quickly as they're coming in. They're kind of moving out of that location underneath the bridge there, Nick. But we are seeing a lot of those individuals coming in. The sheriff says that he believes some of those individuals don't have good intentions. So his priority is to make sure his community is safe. So that is what the sheriff's department is really focusing on. But these individuals are arriving by train right now. It's really hard to stop this, even though the rail line is trying. They stopped 60 trains from making it to the U.S. southern border already. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he's surging resources down to that area as well, saying he's sending additional Texas National Guard soldiers to put additional razor wire down along that river, because he says Border Patrol is cutting some of that wire, allowing migrants a clearer pathway to get into the U.S. Now, he says that those soldiers will also be repelling migrants who are trying to get into the U.S. Now, the Border Patrol Union is saying that several points along our southern border are seeing an influx in migrants right now, and the cartel is exploiting these vulnerable areas like Eagle Pass. Take a listen.
Enough of, we need more resources, we need more money, we need more. What we need is somebody within the administration that says enough is enough and pushes forward the correct policies to stop this from happening. That's what needs to be done.
Okay, so when it comes to CBP, they actually pulled their officers from the port of entry that was inspecting vehicles, Nick. Those individuals are now down, also helping with transport and processing because, again, it's all hands on deck. They don't have enough resources to handle this crisis that we're watching unfold.
And, Allie, unfortunately, we don't seem to see an end in sight. Allie Bradley live for us this afternoon. Allie, thank you. Well, coming up, we'll introduce you to the Maryland Police Department, so desperate for recruits, they're literally expanding their search outside of the continental U.S. So will it work? We'll have that and more next.
Mornings. The golden hour of cold and flu symptoms.
I'm feeling better.
Cough? Congestion?
All in one and done with new Mucinex Kickstart.
Oh, hated that. Headache? Better. Fever, body pain.
Better now.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. It's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season.
An important message for Americans age 50 to 85.
Oh my gosh, you're still using Mom's old coffee pot.
It's my inheritance.
Well, it is a family heirloom.
You know what? The kids can just sell it to pay for my funeral.
It's a good thing you have life insurance.
Life insurance with our family history.
Don't you know about Colonial Penn? It's guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance with no medical questions asked.
I'm on a fixed income.
Who isn't?
You have it?
We all do. John, Maria, even Paul with all of his medical problems.
Colonial Penn.
That's right. Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company. As you get older, your health may change. Colonial Penn understands that. And we don't think it should keep you from getting life insurance to help protect your family. That's why we guarantee acceptance to everyone aged 50 to 85. No health questions, no medical exam. Applying is easy. And you have your choice of options starting at $9.95 a month, a few dollars a week, 35 cents a day. And your price will never go up. A lifetime rate lock guarantees it. This protection can last a lifetime, too. Some insurance policies end once you reach a certain age. Not this one. Pay your bill, and it's yours to keep for as long as you'd like.
How did you apply?
Called for information, got an application, filled it out, sent it back. It took a few minutes. And look at this. They sent me this free beneficiary planner just for calling. I filled in all my important information and final wishes. Now my kids will have everything they need in one place.
Ready to learn more? Call for free information and your free gift. There's no obligation. Every policy we issue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose. Why wait? Call now.
Call 1-800-574-7160 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-574-7160. There's no obligation. 1-800-574-7160. Call now.
This is not just online scheduling. This is vaccines made easy for those who've got plans.
Whenever you're hungry, there's a deal on the Subway app. Buy 1 footlong, get one 50% off in the Subway app today.
Now that's a deal worth celebrating.
Man, what are you doing? Get it before it's gone on the Subway app. Go! Go!
You got me.
Tag, you're it. Imagine a world with no drama. With 4imprint, you don't have to chase down the perfect promotional products. Exclusive apparel, bags, drinkware, and more. 4imprint will help you capture the moment and guarantee to deliver your order on time and on budget. Take the drama out of ordering promotional products at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain. Buck has a hankering for slow-roasted bourbon pecans. Sarah can't resist the sweet delight of dried strawberries. And Gracie goes gaga for milk chocolate gummy bears. No matter what you crave, Nuts.com has something to satisfy. So if you're a sesame stick stew, a cashew carol, or a trail mix Trisha, Nuts.com offers every flavor of happy. And right now, get free shipping on your first order.
All right, police departments across the country are understaffed following anti-police rhetoric and protests that spawned nationwide protests in 2020. As a result, some departments are now going to great lengths to fill open positions, including going outside the continental U.S. to recruit potential officers. NewsNation's Evan Lambert is following this story and is live from Washington, D.C. Evan, what are some of the perks police departments are offering in an effort to bolster their staffing?
Well, we're talking things like signing bonuses, tax credits, but we know that many departments across the country are struggling, many of them saying they are down officers. And this is coming especially at a time when some cities are dealing with spikes in crime. One Maryland police department is going outside the continental U.S., going the distance literally to Puerto Rico to recruit officers. This is an effort taking them some 1,500 miles away from the D.C. area. Prince George's County, Maryland, has a diverse population with many Spanish speakers, so that's one reason they are looking to San Juan to find officers. The other is like other departments. They just cannot fill officer positions like they want to. The county just outside of D.C. is down more than 300 police officers, according to county government sources. And just this week, a bill for another incentive may help even more. It would offer a $2,500 property tax credit if officers move into the county.
We really need to recruit. We need to fill the gap of 400, because what's happening is that as crime is rising in across the country nationally, and it's rising in the region, many people feel like there's crime going on that is unattended to.
And across the country, police departments getting desperate. D.C. recently upping its officer signing bonus to $25,000. In San Francisco, the department is looking for officers on Texas college campuses. And in Covington, Kentucky, the city is offering retired officers a chance to come back for one-year contracts. Now, in some places, like Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis is using politics to try to recruit officers, especially from Illinois, really taking aim at policies that he would call weak on crime, like ending cash bail, offering a bonus to officers from other states that move into Florida. Nick?
Evan, thank you so much. President Biden has appointed a federal disaster coordinator to oversee the recovery efforts in East Palestine, Ohio, a potential step toward an official disaster declaration. Residents there have been asking for more help in the 7 months since the derailment of a train carrying hazardous chemicals. NewsNation's Rich McHugh has been following the story from the beginning. He joins us now with details. Rich, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. So this isn't the disaster declaration that the residents of East Palestine and the surrounding region were hoping for, which would have sent FEMA in to oversee the recovery efforts there. But this is a first step. President Biden's executive order directs FEMA to appoint a dedicated coordinator for the recovery efforts there within 5 days. They say it's intended to, quote, continue to hold Norfolk Southern accountable in the wake of the disaster. The White House said, quote, the coordinator will conduct a comprehensive assessment of any unmet needs that are not addressed by Norfolk Southern and would qualify for federal assistance. The coordinator will also collaborate with federal, state, and local governments, the private sector, and voluntary faith-based and community organizations supporting the recovery. The executive order also requires that the EPA provide a report within 30 days of the status of air, soil, and water in the community, and also requires the Department of Health and Human Services to give a report within 2 months summarizing their conclusions from public health testing and whether a public health emergency needs to be declared. Resident there, Hillary Flynn, has been living in the area, but she is leaving for health reasons. She says this is a good start.
It's saying they will investigate further. And how long, do we have to wait for more people to get cancer? Do we have to wait for more heart attacks? Do we have to wait for more sick children? There's no direct relief for us residents, and that's what we need, and that's what we've needed.
Meantime, a House and Energy Commerce hearing in East Palestine was set for tomorrow. It was going to have Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw and others. It was just canceled, and Hillary Flynn says the residents who were planning to go were not even told.
What they are saying is it's due to the looming government shutdown, but I believe that it's hard to keep up the narrative they planned to further with this hearing. They plan to use this hearing to talk about how things are okay and how Norfolk Southern is making it right. And it seems as if finally the rest of the United States is figuring out that that is not the case.
Now, one other bit of news, breaking news, actually just this hour, a nonpartisan watchdog group called the Government Accountability Project is suing the EPA for documents related to the train disaster and the recovery efforts there. I'll have more on that in the coming hours. Nick?
Rich McHugh, thank you so much. Well, coming up, a first for convicted killer and disgraced former attorney Alex Murdaugh, admitting he committed a crime. We'll tell you more after the break.
With Allegra, allergies don't hold us back. Allegra starts working 2 times faster than Claritin. And unlike Zyrtec, it won't make us drowsy. Allegra gives you the fastest, non-drowsy 24-hour allergy relief so you can live your greatness.
Oh, yeah, dude, that doesn't look good.
I know what to do. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, I can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
There are more ways than ever for identity thieves to steal your information. LifeLock alerts you and works to fix problems with a dedicated restoration specialist. Go to lifelock.com.
When you see all the people who work at Shriners Hospitals for Children, you might see everyday people just doing their job. But to me and other kids, they aren't just receptionists, therapists, or doctors. They're superheroes. But these superheroes are only able to help all of us kids because of the monthly support of people just like you who empower their abilities so we get the care we need to live our lives like super kids.
Because people like you have said, yes, now I can play football.
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
And I can walk.
And when you call the number on your screen right now and give your monthly support to help kids like me, you'll be a superhero too.
When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day.
It's the monthly gift from superheroes like you that give children like London the care they need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift, you're more than a supporter. You're my superhero. Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go to loveshriners.org to give right away. Your monthly gift helps us be superheroes too.
Need to get your windshield fixed? SafeLight makes it easy. You can schedule in just a few clicks, and we'll come to you with a replacement you can trust. It's great. That's service on your time. Schedule now.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting DEEP to 231231. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting DEEP to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text DEEP to 231231.
Welcome back. Breaking today, convicted murderer Alex Murdaugh pleading guilty to nearly 24 federal financial crimes, including fraud and money laundering. The 55-year-old, who is currently serving a life sentence after being convicted in the murders of his wife and son, admitting in a federal courtroom today that he needed to be held accountable for stealing from his clients. His attorneys held a press briefing shortly afterward and had this to say.
There's two things Alex will tell you. One, he stole the money. Two, he did not kill Maggie and Paul.
And three, he's admitted stealing the money since he was first confronted in September of 2021 by his law firm.
Never denied it.
Joining me now, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Peter Frankel. Peter, good afternoon. As part of today's plea deal, Murdaugh agreed to submit to a lie detector test. Is that usual? Could he be asked about the murders of his wife and son?
Great to be with you, Nick. Thanks for having me. So it is highly unusual. And we know that his murder convictions are on appeal. There are some very serious issues relating to that appeal with respect to some misconduct that's being alleged. I think it's highly unlikely that he's going to be asked about those murders in relation to this agreement to be subject to a polygraph. I think what the federal government was trying to do was, with respect to the other investigations that they're going to be conducting, presumably with his assistance, because he has agreed to cooperate, that they're going to utilize the polygraph in an effort to make certain that the information that he's providing them with is in fact true.
Got it. Now, Murdaugh, he did admit to financial crimes when he testified at his murder trial. Did he have no other choice but to plead guilty in these other cases?
You know, Nick, that's a great point. And the fact of the matter is, his pleas today in federal court relate directly back to his testimony. He had to make a choice in that murder trial, and that choice was, do I testify and try to save myself from murder conviction while at the same time understanding that he was going to essentially convict himself federally for these financial crimes? And he took a gamble. He at least for the moment, lost that gamble, but this was a very easy prosecution for the federal government because he was under oath and he essentially admitted to the financial crimes that he pled guilty to today. So he was left with really no defense.
Peter, go back for me for a second here. Murdaugh's attorneys say that the court clerk in his murder trial actually pressured the jury to convict. Any chance that he's going to get a new trial behind that information?
You know, Nick, I think there really is. I mean, you have to start with the assumption that for these attorneys to file a motion like this, they have to have a good faith basis. You can't just make this stuff up and put it into written pleadings. So this may have some legs, and I think at very least, the court is going to be compelled to conduct a hearing to try to ascertain whether or not this clerk, Rebecca Hill, actually communicated directly with any of these jurors, and if so, what that communication consisted of. Right. Because I'm telling you right now, if she in any way intimated not only her opinion, but anything to suggest that he was guilty, this case is going to be overturned on appeal in a heartbeat. Wow,
Peter, go back to that, because what we're hearing is that it may have been even as casual as, don't believe him because he's kind of slick, y'all. Even if it were as an aside, that could be enough to give him a new trial.
Absolutely, no question about it. That'll never stand. If there's credible evidence that took place, he's going to have another trial.
Oh, Peter Frankel, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Here are some of the other top stories we're following this afternoon. Former Trump aide Cassidy Hutchinson claims in a new book that Rudy Giuliani groped her. It allegedly happened backstage at the rally that preceded the events of January 6, 2021. Giuliani's political advisor calls the accusations a disgusting lie. Yeah, this is video out of Alabama now, and that's police cam video. An Alabama high school band director says the police department went too far when they shocked him with a taser and arrested him after he refused to comply with their orders to stop his band's performance at the end of a football game. This is body cam footage of that incident, and they just released it here to NewsNation. Now, after the game, police asked the band director to end the performance so they could shut down the stadium operations. 20 minutes after the game ended, police asked him again. Moments later, after a scuffle, the band director was tased. Now, the director has been charged with disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting arrest. A 96-year-old U.S. appeals judge has been suspended in a clash over her mental competence. Judge Pauline Newman serves on the D.C.-based Court of Federal Appeals. A panel suspended her Wednesday after she failed to get a court-ordered medical test. Now, Judge Newman has served on the bench for nearly 4 decades. She says she is mentally and physically fit to do her job, claiming she's being pushed out over her age. Judge Newman is now barred from hearing new cases for at least 1 year or until she decides to get those medical tests. And a poker player who lied about having terminal colon cancer in order to raise funds to get into the World Series of Poker main event is now apologizing. 37-year-old Rob Mercer came up with the story back in June in an effort to gather the 10 grand he needed to buy his way into the event in July in Las Vegas. Mercer created a GoFundMe, which led to him earning, get this, between $30,000 to $50,000. And now he claims he has undiagnosed breast cancer. And because of that, he has no intention of returning 1 dime of that money. Well, coming up is cancel culture at it again. We'll talk about the backlash surrounding Mel Gibson's newest endeavor. That and more when NewsNation Now returns.
Travel, there is nothing like it.
Dancing is my passion.
But with my moderate to severe eczema, it hasn't always been easy.
I was constantly itching.
Whatever I was doing.
Now, I'm staying ahead of my eczema.
There's a power inside all of us to live our passion. And Dupixent works on the inside to help heal your skin from within. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema, so adults can have long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor.
Healing from within is a powerful thing.
Ask your eczema specialist how Dupixent can help heal your skin from within.
If I would have kept making only the minimum payments on my credit cards, my debt would have taken me 47 years to pay off.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief negotiates with your creditors to reduce the amount you owe.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by about 40%.
And you could be debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months. Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to find out how you can become debt-free.
Internet without trackers. Without malware-ridden files. Zen. Be more cyber zen. Get NordVPN.
Is this how you're hoping to retire? Well, hope isn't a good retirement strategy. You've worked for a comfortable retirement for years. Now you need to plan for retirement income. Learn ways to avoid common mistakes, like being too conservative or not setting retirement goals. Have someone on your side to keep you on track.
Call for Fisher's Comfortable Retirement Kit with the help you need to make your retirement a success, including the Investor's Guide to a Comfortable Retirement, 13 retirement blunders to avoid, and maximize your Social Security. Call 1-800-650-0675.
Fisher tailors a plan to keep you on track for a retirement you want. And as a fiduciary, we do better when our clients do better.
Call now for your Comfortable Retirement Kit. Call 1-800-650-0675.
If your retirement portfolio is $500,000 or more, call us today. You don't have it coming to you unless you plan for it.
Call 1-800-650-0675.
I need a haircut.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe it?
Nice bed head.
I know, right? How great is that?
Pretty great.
There's nothing better than getting your hair back. So go to Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, and the only permanent solution to hair loss that's protected by the Bosley Guarantee. For free info and even a free gift card, scan the code now. You'll see how the latest technology can regrow your real hair and regain your confidence.
Doesn't that hurt?
Sure does.
Don't wait. Get your hair back. Scan the code for free info and a gift card for $250 off. Bosley, the confidence to be you again.
Media legend Rupert Murdoch has announced he's stepping down from the board of Fox and News Corp. His son Lachlan will become the sole chairman of both companies. Now, broadcaster Piers Morgan posted his reaction on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying Rupert Murdoch has been a bold, brilliant, visionary leader whose audacity and tenacity built a magnificently successful global media empire. Thanks, boss. NewsNation senior story editor Paula Froelich is here with the scoop. Paula, this has been a big day. What does this mean for entertainment overall, and what are you expecting Fox's next moves to be?
Honestly, I think everybody's jaw hit the ground. Nobody could believe it. You know, I used to work for Rupert Murdoch, and everyone thought, you know, his mom died at 103, and we thought he'd go past that, and the only way he was leaving the building was feet first. So this was a big, big day. But, you know, the other thing is, Nick, what's been slowly coming out. So in May, Vanity Fair had this article in which they announced his back had been broken. He had suffered COVID, several bouts of pneumonia, had been really ill. And then the double slammer was Michael Wolff's book is coming out. And yesterday in New York Magazine, there was a really interesting excerpt in which somebody had gone to go speak to Rupert because, you know, there's been a lot of business kerfuffle with the Dominion lawsuit, whatnot. He went to go speak with him, and then he came out and he described Rupert Murdoch as, quote, a hot mess, something that has never been said about Rupert before. And I think a lot of people are just really concerned about what's going to happen when the main guiding hand, the guy who built everything, is gone. Now, I will say Lachlan, his son, is taking over, and Lachlan learned at the foot of the master for 50-plus years. So is it going to be more of the same? Probably. But will Lachlan have the vision his dad did? People are not sure.
I want to pull up a specific part of the announcement right now. And today he said in a letter to employees, I can guarantee you that I will be involved every day in the contest of ideas. What could that look like?
I think it means that he will be giving people a phone call and saying, what did I just see on TV? Or, are you kidding me?
Right.
And he's also very hands-on with the newspapers. He is a newspaper-first kind of guy. So he's probably still going to be on the horn with the head of the New York Post, the head of the Wall Street Journal, saying, all right, what are you doing for the op-eds tomorrow?
We have not heard the last of Rupert.
No, we have not.
Well, I do want to make a shift because I want to get the dirt from you on the latest with the John Wick series, starring Mel Gibson. So what's the deal? I love John Wick, and, you know, folks are saying, hold up.
Everyone is a little on edge, and they're a little freaked out because, first of all, Keanu Reeves was so beloved as this character, but Keanu was done. You know, he's already said, I'm tired, I'm out, goodbye. And so they brought in Mel Gibson, and a lot of people are freaking out because, as we all know, in the past, Mel has struggled with alcoholism and sometimes his temper, and he has said some racist and anti-Semitic things. This was long ago in the past. And, you know, I'm struggling with it, too. I personally like the guy a lot. I know many of my friends who are Jewish, they are black, they are friends with him. And what people don't know is that he has helped a lot of people behind the scenes. He does not like to be out and open. He will not publicize stuff, but he has really, really held people's hands if they are struggling with alcohol like he has.
He got a lot of bad press after doing Passion of the Christ. You know, there was a lot of scandal behind it. Is that also, you know, a part of the price one pays when things lean into things around centered on faith?
Well, we have a problem with that in our society, you know, but what we don't understand is that 30 million people still go to church every Sunday. And those 30 million people are interested in this. And frankly, there are interesting stories still to be told. And the Bible is the most popular book in history for a reason.
Absolutely.
So You know, I'm not mad at that. And I also don't think people should be canceled because of things like faith, like Jim Caviezel. That's just ridiculous.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, Paula, thank you so much. This is where I get to make a good little transition because we got something faith coming up based also. A look at a programming note. Faith-oriented entertainment options are really resonating with millions of people like Paula and I just discussed. And this is something we have special coming up right here. The Chosen, airing Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CW, has been the hit of the season so far, shocking Hollywood. NewsNation's Adrienne Bankert visited the sprawling set in Texas and sat down exclusively with the show's creator, Dallas Jenkins.
I got to a place where I genuinely surrendered, and I genuinely said, okay, God, I am willing to not make another movie if that's what you want. I don't care about the results anymore. I genuinely am willing to give that up.
You had a come to Jesus meeting.
I had a strong come to Jesus meeting. And I think that's when God said, now you're ready for The Chosen.
And this is what's really cool. This Sunday, right here on NewsNation, Adrienne shares more of her exclusive new interviews with the cast and crew. Tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on NewsNation. I've had a chance to see just a little bit of that, and I'm telling you, Adrienne asked some great questions, and it is a whole lot of fun. Well, there's still so much ahead on NewsNation Now. We'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail in the race for 2024. As the UAW strike continues, a new fight has emerged for unions and the American workers. That story ahead and more on NewsNation in just 1 minute.